Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. So glad you're with us, whether you're joining us here on the airwaves in Santa Barbara, California at TV Santa Barbara or at goodlifetelevision.org, at our new YouTube page, which you can find. We hope you'll subscribe, or the podcast, or there's all kinds of ways to find us, and we see many of you are, and so we're really grateful. And hopefully you're enjoying and being filled up and being inspired by some really great people and in all walks of life. We've had kind of a little bit of everything, and every week it just kind of blows my mind, and so I'm so excited. I'm privileged to be here, and we're privileged to have you as well. One of the reasons we're sitting here is because TV Santa Barbara exists and does a really great job, and today we're actually privileged to have the executive director of TV Santa Barbara with me, Erik Davis. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Great to be here. It's been a while. I remember when we were getting started and had those conversations. Right. And here we are, we're closing in on 200 episodes later.
That's right.
Beautiful outdoor set. Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you. Thank you. That's right. I remember the first time coming to your office, and this was kind of an idea, and we'd been batting around, and I've always kind of had an interest in this kind of thing, and then we talked about it that day, and then here we are.
Well, I think we talked about it for quite a while, and going back to your history with Vince Scully and your appreciation for broadcasting, and you've just been a natural since. So,
thank you.
This is great to see, and it's great to be out here with both teams. And
you've got a great team. We've got a great team. It's been great. Let's go back. I want to talk about TV Santa Barbara, and I have some specifics, but just go back to your background, your growing up, your early career. Talk about that.
Well, I was fortunate to grow up here in Santa Barbara, out in Goleta, through elementary through high school here. Like you, I was always drawn to kind of broadcasting and radio and interviewing, and I went to San Diego State and got my degree in broadcast journalism. After I graduated from there, I got into the field of news and communications, and I was kind of off and running. Interesting parlay, though, that was around the time of the O.J. Simpson fiasco, or whatever you call it nowadays. Right. And so journalism was really at that pivot point where you're getting away from the hard news and reliable news and going more towards the sensational aspect of it. And it kind of drove me away. So I got out of that a little bit and went into the marketing and communications realm for quite a while, and then started getting back into more video type of work, especially here. Moved back to Santa Barbara, started working with a lot of videotaping and podcasting and pushing the envelope with live video and things of that nature, and discovered TV Santa Barbara as a resource for the community, as a place that we could film, rent equipment, have some support. And so it's just beginning that relationship when the executive director was leaving at that time. This is 2017, I believe. And so he asked me to apply for the job, and I did, and the rest is history. So it's kind of come full circle here to get back into television broadcasting, and that was always a dream of mine as a kid. So
so we had the same dream.
Yeah, very much so. I remember that. I do. So.
I love that. So the news business, I think it's an understatement to say it's changed a lot.
Quite a bit. I mean, the Dan Rathers, Walter Cronkite, that's all gone. The 3-station cable news, and now it's even gone even further than it was at that time.
Way gone.
Yeah.
But what do we do with that? Like, I think about this all the time. I don't even think I have an answer, but what do we do about that? Because I think there's something missing if there's not like somewhere you can trust. Like what happens if we're left with it's all political, either side? I mean, is there going to be a reemerged center place where we go, okay, I know those opinions, but if I want straight up news, tell me what's going on. Don't spin it. Is there a place for that still?
I don't know. It's going to be hard to see. I mean, you saw the decline of newspapers. The journalism field is underpaid. It's kind of a disappearing dinosaur of a breed, and it's gone to more of the sensationalized political talk. So we'll see where it goes. There's so many channels, and with the cord cutting going on these days, getting away from the cable side. But it really brings forward the importance of community television, where everybody has a voice, right? No matter what side of the aisle you're on, no matter if you want to talk about, yoga or self-development or education or math. You know, this is the one place where everybody has a voice.
Yeah, that was my next question. I mean, the power of what you guys are doing. I love the advancing community through media. I mean, for two reasons. One is, I think media is powerful, and I don't think that's going to change. I mean, there's a great power in media, and then building community because of there's low barrier to entry with you all in terms of giving everybody that voice. But talk about your vision, kind of, for that.
Yeah, you know, well, first of all, what a wonderful community we have. I mean, you see all the guests that come through this show. Yeah. You know, a lot of them come through TV Santa Barbara as well.
Yeah.
It's just such a special, caring, giving community.
Yeah.
And one of my visions when I came on is, you know, we were, and the pandemic actually shifted that a little bit. We were an access center where people came to us. You know, we helped facilitate their programs. One of the things I wanted to do was push us out into the community, you know, to tell those stories, to be of service to nonprofit organizations, you know, to cover the arts, to encourage shows like this on an offset. And it's been really rewarding. So while a lot of the studio time has been down, especially through the pandemic, you know, high touch indoor facility, I think our work has been more important. We're reaching more people. I think we're established in the community. So that was one of my early visions of that, is just, you know, taking from a reactionary facility to really pushing and being part of the media landscape that, you know, it tells the good stories, you know, shares those stories that often aren't told.
That's exactly right. And what a great idea. I mean, with the emergence of video just in general, I mean, even over the last 5 years, certainly 10, video is just like taking over the world. And so for you guys to be able to produce the kind of high quality stuff that this guy over here to my right produces, and people like him, I mean, there's a place for that. Everybody needs that. Businesses need that.
Businesses, you know, the nonprofit sector has really come to us and, you know, asked for coverage of events. You know, a lot of events went away, and, you know, people are trying to figure out, how do I do a fundraiser? You know, what do I do with my lecture series now? And, you know, we Hospice, Santa Barbara Historical Museum, the Maritime Museum, we cover their lectures now. And we put them on television, so everybody has access to it. So rather than having, you know, 50 to 75 people in a room, you know, now we give voice to, or give reach to a lot of people via streaming on our 2 channels. So there's been a nice shift there. And what great stories to tell too.
That's right. It's so good. I love the thing I love about having the opportunity to have this show, which we're grateful to you. We can push out goodness. We can push out content. We can push out inspiration. I remember, so we got this email from a lady in Pennsylvania, like maybe a year ago, and she was up in the middle of the night, and she came across one of our interviews with Kirk Cameron, and she was inspired. And she said, the way she worded it was, she said, it was like I got a warm hug in the middle of the night. And I was thinking, that's the power. That's the opportunity. Like, because with video, with television, you can reach people everywhere, 24 hours a day, and give them a hug. You know,
I like that. I like that phrase.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, that's the kind of the opportunity you guys have. So as your board looks, as you and your board look to the future, and you're looking out. So you shared one part of your vision in terms of getting out and not being as reactive. What else? What do you guys see over 5 or 10 years? Like, where are you headed?
Well, the exciting thing for me, and where I'm really kind of digging into, and I'm finding a lot of my juice is kind of the streaming. You know, we've invested in apps with the iPhone app, Roku, on demand. So we want to bring this local programming to people around the world, wherever they are, on any device, at any time.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
That's been a really big shift for us.
So you have an app already?
We do. You can go to Apple iPhone and download the TVSB app and watch your shows.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Nobody told me.
Roku, Amazon Fire, if you're streaming, because we are seeing more and more people, you know, get rid of cable. It's quite dramatic. So that is our real push. We put in a new piece of equipment about a month ago that's going to allow us to stream the 2 channels to Facebook Live, to YouTube, to our website.
Really?
Yeah, so you can watch TV Santa Barbara, not just on 17 and 71, but on any platform at any time. So it's going to be a lot of work. It already has been a little bit of an investment, but that's the vision right now.
Really great. I had no idea. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Well, it's going to be powerful for members. So
it'd be great for us.
We'll be doing more and more announcements on that as soon as we get dialed in and super polished. But that's the kind of the short-term vision for the next 18 months, 2 years to really get that dialed in. So everybody can find the local content here in Santa Barbara anywhere they're at.
And so that's, I mean, now we're talking about way beyond Santa Barbara.
Way beyond.
This becomes a whole thing.
Yep.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So if they go to search for the app, just TVSB? Or
TVSB.
TVSB.
Yeah. Download it, write a review, watch the shows.
Yeah.
We're putting together the kind of the archive channel, so each show has its own little segment where you can go back and flip through old episodes or current episodes.
Wow.
We've been doing it on YouTube for a while, but this is just a different level.
So, I mean, that's fantastic. So as you think about your own journey, I mean, are you fired up? I mean, in terms of as you look at your own path, I mean, this is what you want to do.
Yeah, and what's on the horizon for us is people don't know that community television has been a part of Santa Barbara since 1975. June 1st, 1975 is when it was kind of put into motion. So we're approaching our 50th year.
Wow.
So I am really charged to kind of, use those next 2-3 years or wherever we're at to just, get to that point where we can just celebrate 50 years of community television.
Yes.
It's gone through a variety of iterations. It's emerged as a nonprofit now since 2001, but it was in Cox for a while. It was on Channel 2 for a while when they started in the 1970s, and some of those early stories are just amazing. Just wild community television.
Yeah.
So we've been going into the history of community television, bringing back from the old stories. We're trying to find old tapes and digitize them and save them. And so yeah, that 50th year anniversary is kind of my
benchmark.
North Star out there.
Yeah.
Right now.
Is Dennis Miller still doing anything with you guys?
I don't know if I can tell this story, but I'm going to do it anyway.
It's your station.
It's our station.
Yeah.
So Dennis Miller was doing a show. He had a regular show, it was a couple times a week. And the beauty of what we do now, especially during the pandemic, is you can bring in guests remotely, right? It used to be all you had to join in the show.
Yeah.
But we invested in some equipment so you can bring in people via Zoom and whatnot. So he was coming in, had the best time. He was driving down to LA, and he said, I'm tired of that. I live right here in Montecito.
Yeah.
Is there a station? One of our members, I think it was Arthur von Wiesenberger, said, check out TV Santa Barbara. So he did, and we had found a nice groove. He was doing a bunch of shows, and all of a sudden they called, and this was February, middle of February. It says the Dennis Miller show's not happening anymore, and we're all okay. Is this like a part-time thing? Because we had put like a 4-month schedule out.
Yeah, and
we found out that the show's owner was Russian television. So
really,
yeah. And so they had, I forget the name of the television network, but it had tentacles all across the world, and they shut down all their operations. Everything.
Oh.
It takes a while to sit in that this war in Ukraine can affect a local community access station here in Santa Barbara.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
The Dennis Miller show would be on. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you just a little bit about your involvement in this community. You talked about what a great community we have. It's a small fraternity of guys that have been El Presidente, by the way. If you're in Santa Barbara, you know what that means. It means you're a local legend. I don't think I'll ever get to El Presidente. Talk about your place and just how your love for and involvement in this community. I know you've been on boards and done different things, but talk about that.
Yeah, when I moved back here in 2000, I was able to, I kind of found my passion in the history and the culture and the flavor of Santa Barbara. I joined the board of Pearl Chase Society, which was kind of in, she's a big figure in here in planning Santa Barbara, and And I really enjoyed that. Kind of dug into the history, and then my wife and I really found joy in being a part of the old Spanish Days board. You know, we attended a couple events, and then we started dressing up, attending more events. On a trolley ride up to the zoo one time, somebody asked us, hey, you guys want to be a part of the board? And it's just something that we found that incorporates the history and the culture and the passion and the flavor of Santa Barbara so much that we just fell in love with it. So 10 years of volunteering later that, yeah, I rose to the ranks and became El Presidente, and the experience is still living today. And
it's amazing.
it was a long journey, it's a lot of work, but it's such an important piece to Santa Barbara. And it introduced me to so many people.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people like Father Larry and
Yeah.
John Palminteri, who you've had on the show,
Yeah.
and those played a part. So yeah, it's still a big part of my life, and what a fun journey that was.
Yeah. Well, and there's something really powerful about the traditions in a community, and this community happens to have some long-standing traditions like that it takes people to keep them going. You know, yesterday you and I were at the 63rd annual prayer breakfast. I started hanging around with that committee a little bit and realizing some of these guys have served 30 years, and it takes like those kind of pillar people to keep the traditions going, and we need them. I mean, like sometimes I think they're overlooked. Like I never thought about who's on the committee of Fiesta, but we need those people, those pillars, because the traditions, and then we pass them down, and through the generations, it's so powerful and enriching. Too, don't you think?
Oh yeah, and events like yesterday are special. You know, my dad always had the community service bug, and I think I got a little bit of that from him. He spent his whole career in the YMCA.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he was the executive director at the Hitchcock Y for a while, and then ran the Channel Islands, and he started the Good Friday breakfast. The very first one.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, and my mom still sits on the community, but he started that.
Wow.
And, you know, he was with CBMC and a lot of Kiwanis and a lot of other nonprofits. So I think just by nature, I absorbed a little bit of that.
Wow.
But so seeing events like that yesterday brings a little joy to my heart.
Yeah.
That it's still going. But it does, these boards, it takes a lot of work.
It takes work.
And it takes sponsors and effort and, you know, attendees, and the amount of work it's impressive.
Yeah. So talk about your dad for a second. Yeah. Your relationship, and I actually had heard somebody made a comment to me, maybe Jim Stretchberry, or somebody was talking about your dad, and I remember hearing a little bit, but I had no idea he started the Good Friday breakfast. But talk a little bit about him and kind of your relationship.
Yeah. So he's passed about 5 years ago, but he grew up as a physical director of the YMCA. So I spent my childhood, a lot of it, you know, learning to swim, playing tennis at the Y, and it was really just a special time in life, and everybody that I talked to just really respects him. I was bumped into Ernesto was at our table, Paredes, yesterday, and my dad gave him his first job at the YMCA.
Is that right?
Yeah. So he still has that stories, and Jim Stretchberry and him were friends, and so it's neat to hear that, and yeah, sometimes I wish he didn't get to see me in the role of El Presidente or executive director of TV Santa Barbara. Oh, I know he'd be really proud, so I kind of lament that a little bit. That I just wish he could have seen that a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's so great. Well,
but yeah, he was a good man, Hugh Davis.
Hugh Davis.
Yeah.
That's a great legacy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did start the Good Friday breakfast, and I did the first prayer reading at I think I was 5 or 6 years old.
Did you really?
And it took place in a small little room at the YMCA, probably 20 to 30 people there.
Really?
And now it's grown into a similar event, you know, 400 or 500 people.
Yeah,
each
year.
year.
It's a big deal. Mm-hmm. That's so good. Well, that's a great legacy. That legacy of service is also something I think about a lot. Like, I think a lot of people in this community have that spirit. There seems to me to be bent towards how can we serve, how can we give, which event can we attend to keep people going, which, we were in Texas for 10 years, had a great experience, but this is a very unique community.
Super unique.
This is a really unique community.
Yeah, I was in San Diego for 10 years too, and maybe it was my time of life, but it just didn't have that kind of community feel at all.
No, it's rare. I mean, there's wonderful things about every place, but this place has that unique spirit, community thing that us now being back, we appreciate now. We didn't appreciate it before.
Yes.
We had to leave for a while, just like
Same
you probably
thing.
did. Yeah.
Same thing.
When you come back, you're like, oh, this is different. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, it's not just a beautiful place between the mountains and
Right.
the Pacific Ocean. It's
It actually has very little to do with that. I mean, thank
I
God
don't-
we have
yeah,
the beauty,
think-
but it's like
I think
the
it
people.
plays a little bit to that though too. You know, because they say there's healing properties, and
Oh yeah, maybe
you know,
that's true.
people are,
Yeah.
are drawn to it.
Yeah.
You know, really kind of a lot of people. The giving community is so
Right.
large here.
Right.
Yeah. I do think that plays a part of it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, this has been fun.
It has
How
been fun. I'm
great.
glad we're here.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Seriously, I mean, we if we hadn't had that good conversation, I may have just said, "I'll forget it." So we appreciate your
But you
encouragement.
took it and you ran with it, and look
Yeah.
at us now.
We even have coffee mugs.
We have coffee mugs, an entire brand. This is great.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your partnership.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Gene.
it's great
Yeah,
to have you, and for
appreciate
what you do for the community. We really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.